Okay, you can see this is the cladding that we use on the side of the house, on the side of the guest house there, and we use this all over the place. And we've also used it to double skin the inside of the ceiling inside our new extension. And so my intention now is to build with two side-by-side pieces of 8x4, which I'll show you moved over. So these pieces of wood will be used to make up a frame, and the frame will be the back of this panel. You can imagine this is 4x8 sheets of plywood, and they're going to be suspended and they're going to be fixed. It's not going to be something that's hanging and has to have its own strength. It doesn't need to take any weight. What it's for is for me to be able to mount 4 downlighter spotlights in the center of the room in there. So these pieces will be used to fix them all together. So that's the first part of the job, is visualizing how this will look. And visualization is probably the most important part of being able to build anything. You need to be able to visualize it. And not only to visualize it, you need to be able to work out how single-handed, if you're working alone, how could you get it into position single-handed? Because there's no point in making something that looks absolutely beautiful upside down on the ground and you can't lift it up to the ceiling. Well, what I'll do with this is, first of all, before I secure it with bolts, I'll use pieces of baling wire to support it in position, in rough position, on this underside, so that it goes up into place. We'll hoist it into place with rope, and it will be going all over the place like this. But then when we get it up there, I'll be able to go up on a stand and fix one part of it with prefixed pieces of wire. And I'll get the baling wire and pull it around, and it will hold it into position. So I have to have been able to work this out in my head, three-dimensionally in my head, right? And it will work. Plus, I will have to have the spotlights in the correct place before and wired up before it goes up there. Okay, so you need to do a fair bit of visualizations how you're going to be doing it. And carpenters and furniture makers are doing this all the time. Anybody who does anything which requires creativity to put it together is doing fully three-dimensional visualized pictures in their head which can be turned around. The famous story that I remember was, I believe this was Nikola Tesla, probably the greatest, one of the greatest, certainly, scientists in the world, inventors. Daily we use things which were invented by Tesla, which we don't even know and which we take for granted. A brilliant, brilliant man. And he was able to design, so the story goes, he was able to design a motor in his mind to work out what the parts were in exactly the same way that I've done this, but in a highly complex way. And he was able to visualize that motor turning and working, and to keep, listen to this is just an incredible story, he was able to keep it turning in his mind 24 hours a day. Can you imagine having a mind like that? And to then disassemble it and observe what the worn or what parts of that motor would have been likely to wear the most and would then need to be redesigned. Boy, wouldn't it be great if motor car users could do this, and we wouldn't have the breakdowns that we do. So, back to my humble little job here. Once this framework has been done there, I will lift it up, turn it back to what will be the correct size to be seen, and then I will use the cladding here. So let me lay the cladding down so that you can see it. So this cladding will then be put onto the 4x8 sheets, and it will be placed and fixed, and the edges cut right to the edge there, not this way, they'll be going lengthways that way. And then I'll fix that so that it's totally fixed. I'll have to cut the holes for the downlighters, and then along the edge I have another piece. I used to have some up here, but it's over in the porch now. I have a small piece which will form a bead along the edge and fix and tidy up the look of the edge, so that it looks nice. And then this will go up, will be turned upside down again, and it will have the fixings put so that at each corner, one at this end, one at that, one at 4 corners, it will have these ties fixed into this, so that when the thing is put up, and for this I may use a dead man, which if you don't know what the dead man is, this is the dead man. If you can't get something to stay up somewhere and you're working alone, you use what's called a dead man. And the dead man would have to be longer than the distance between the floor and the piece that you want to support. And you stick it under there like this, and then jam it, and it would hold the piece up there until you could then do something to fix it. So maybe I'll use a dead man. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I won't have to, and if I hoist it up there and support it on rope, then I can go and fix it at each corner so it's not going to move. And then I would work out where the bolts would go in order to fit to the ceiling joists. So that's where I'm at right now, and I would hope to continue this. This is a part 1 of the ceiling panel. If I can get Beth to work with me on the title for that. This is part 1 of the ceiling panel, and we'll see how this works out. And when it's all painted up, it should look really nice. that's what I visualized. So, thanks for looking in. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Bye.